For days 2 and 3 of your art project, we're going to be turning this patterned paper into a Greek vase. To do that, you're going to need a pencil, scissors, and eventually we're going to be gluing this down on some paper. I recommend not using liquid glue like this, but using a glue stick because a liquid glue bottle is just too wet and will cause your paper to get wavy or wrinkled. You always want to use a glue stick when working with paper plus paper so that things lay flat and don't absorb too much water from the glue. To begin, you're going to look at your pattern paper and decide if you still want to hold it horizontally or if you want to change your mind to use it vertically. I would like to use mine horizontally because most of my patterns go in that direction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this paper in half with the pattern in the center like this. If you see marker through it, that's okay. There you go. The fold is considered my line of symmetry, and the flaps are the edges. I'm going to flip my paper over because I want the sun pattern to be at the top and this zigzag pattern on the bottom, but that is my artistic choice. You can choose however you want your paper to be, but it's most important that you always keep track of where your fold is, because when we draw, we are going to be making a symmetrical vase, and we want to make sure that when we cut out our vase, it stays one piece. If you do happen to make a mistake, it's okay, because we will be able to glue both pieces back together like a puzzle if needed. Let's begin. It might be helpful if you go back to open step 2 to look at some of the shapes. But if you're comfortable with doing it on your own, that's good too. I'm going to start with the center of my vase, and I'm going to make it have a rounded lip at the top. I know this might seem crazy, but watch what I do as I continue. Then I'm going to draw a curved line that's coming downward this way. I have to keep inside my mind that I am drawing something, but only half of the line. I'm going to leave some space for a little handle. Come down to about here. I'm going to make a little curved line for a handle, like so. And I'm also drawing the inside of the handle, which would be a line and another curve. Are you starting to see half of a vase? I hope so. Now I'm going to draw the footing. I brought the side of my piece inward, then I'm going to bring it down like a handle and then back out. Mine's sorta gonna look like a trophy. I can't wait to cut it out and see how it looks. Now that I'm finished drawing, I'm just gonna double check to make sure when I open, I see half of the vase drawn and the fold here. If I see the fold in the center and the drawing on one side, that means I did it right. I'm going to close it back up. I'm going to pick up my scissors and I'm going to begin cutting on the line. Make sure you take your time when cutting. Now that I cut out the basic outline, we need to cut out the inside of the handle. For some of us, this can be tricky, so make sure you pay attention. If you need to stop the video and rewind it to watch this again, that's okay. Also, if you make a mistake and accidentally cut off the handle, that's okay too. Remember, you can glue it back on like a puzzle piece. Now, holding your paper together, making sure I have both pieces, you are going to fold it so that you can see the middle of the shape. Do you see how I have the shape on both sides? This shape right here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip a short little line and open that flap back up. I now have a hole right in the center of the shape I need to cut out or remove. I'm going to take the scissors, open them, and stick the bottom blade through that hole. Just like that. Next, I'm going to cut towards that line and then cut around on that line. That way, I'm removing the piece without cutting off the handle. The smaller the shape, the more challenging it is. But don't worry, take your time and have some patience and you'll be able to do it. Make sure you clean up all of your scraps and put them away in the garbage. The floor is not where they belong. Now that I've cut my entire project, let's open it up and see how we did. Wow, it's perfectly symmetrical. I still have my handles, and this is ready to be glued down. For the next piece of our project, we are going to be gluing down our vase onto a separate sheet of paper. I found myself a yellow piece of construction paper. That way, the colors on my vase really pop and really draw attention to all the details. If you don't have colored construction paper, that's okay. We are going to be coloring this back paper anyway for the last day of our project. What you do need, though, is to have a piece of paper, whether it's colored or not, and you're going to need a glue stick. What you are going to do is you're going to flip your project over, and you are going to apply glue all around the edges of your project, paying special attention to the handles and any little pieces that kind of stick off. Remember, glue sticks dry very quickly, so you need to move very quickly. If you take too much time trying to put glue on every single little piece, it'll dry before you even have a chance to flip it and stick it. Now that I have glue all around my piece, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to stick it down, trying to make sure I'm in the center. Once I feel pretty good about my placement, I'm going to go ahead, press down, and hold it. It really helps to count to 10 in your head to make sure that it's down. Be careful if you're going to rub your project. You don't want to wet anything with your hands being sticky and make any of the colors move. Sometimes it helps to take a separate sheet of paper that you have laying around, putting it on top and rubbing this way. That way your artwork stays clean and doesn't get ruined. I think this should be long enough. I'm going to lift up my scrap paper and check my project. All right, I think it looks pretty good. My corners are secure. I'm not able to lift any of my edges. I think I did a great job gluing it down. At this point, it would be a great time to stop and wait for day 3 of your project. Make sure that if you used your glue, you cap it, put it away somewhere. Any scraps you might have out go in the garbage, and you put your project somewhere safe. It is up to you to remember where you put your project and to keep it organized. If your project gets ruined on the day that you need to show me your work, I might not be able to give you a grade because I don't know where your project is. That is your responsibility. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this part of the project, and I can't wait to see what day 3 looks like. For the final part of our project, or day 3, we are going to be decorating the background paper. What you're going to need is a material that you're going to use to color. Since I'm working on construction paper, I'm going to be using crayons because they work easier, they will show up on the paper, and they don't have ink, which might dry out quickly on construction paper. I'm going to begin by thinking about leaving a space or a border of yellow paper, or in your case it might be white, around my project. Kind of this thick. Then I want to think about where I want the line of my table to be. I am going to draw 2 horizontal lines, one here and one on this side of my project. And then, like the border is here, I'm going to leave space for a border around my project. Do you see this shape? I'm going to be coloring that in with this crayon. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. That's the start of my table. For the top part of my background, I think I'm going to use a green color crayon. For this, I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to leave a little space between my tabletop and the background by making a line. I am going to trace a border around my vessel. And do the same on the other side. I I really need to go slow and think about what I'm doing. If I'm rushing through to finish my project quickly, I could easily make some mistakes. I think I'm also going to create a little border on the inside of each handle, just to be the same or consistent with the rest of my project. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to color in these shapes I've created with my crayons, but for you, I will be fast forwarding through that. Now that I've finished coloring my background and put away all of my materials, it's time to admire my hard work. I learned about Greek vases and vessels. I looked at different patterns to create my own pattern. I made pattern paper that I then folded and drew a symmetrical shape to create a vessel. I cut that vessel out and glued it onto a piece of construction paper or plain white paper. I designed a background by including a table and a wall. I even created a border around my piece to give it personality and show different colors. It took a lot of work to make my project, but in the end, it looks great. I can't wait to see what your work looks like, because I can only imagine how awesome it is. I hope you had fun with this project, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye!